Lindsay. I'm going to be doing a workshop today here at SHAG. We're going to have questions and a discount code at the end, so make sure to stay around until that. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today. First, we're going to talk about coming out and what queer pleasure is. Then we'll move on to talking about queer relationships and dating, including talking about some communication skills. Then we'll move on to talking about some fun products, and then we'll talk about embracing your queer journey and finish off with the Q&A and discount code. So diving right in, coming out and what is queer pleasure? Whether you're newly out, exploring, just curious, or experienced, there's always more to learn. And there's no right way to be queer, and no such thing as being too late or not queer enough. Really, coming out isn't a one-time thing or a finish line. It's the start of a really personal journey. It's about getting to know yourself, figuring out what feels good and what feels right in your relationships, your body, and your identity, and allowing yourself to explore, question, and evolve. This is your journey. Now let's talk about how to make it more exciting, empowering, and fulfilling. So what is queer pleasure? For a lot of us, we're taught this narrow, straight, cis idea of what sex and intimacy is. Like there's one way to do it, one kind of body that matters, and one goal. Queer pleasure flips all of that on its head. It's creative, intuitive, and so much more expansive. Queer pleasure is about what feels good for you, not just what you're supposed to do. It's about exploring sensation, connection, identity, and affirmation, not just chasing orgasm. And it's about playing with roles, power, softness, and intensity, or whatever gets you excited. And it's about trusting your body and your desires, even if they surprise you. It can be playful, awkward, healing, and joyful. And it's all allowed to change. And the best part, you get to define it. So let's talk about communication, especially when it comes to intimacy in queer relationships. A lot of us come into queerness without a clear roadmap. There isn't a universal how-to in queer relationships, and that could be a good thing, but it also means we have to talk more intentionally and openly with each other, especially around things like experience levels, comfort, or boundaries. One of the best things you can do early on is be direct about where you're at. That might sound like, I'm still figuring out what I like, but I'm excited to explore. Or, I haven't done this before, I might be nervous. Or, here's what I know feels good for me, and here's what I'm still unsure about. It's okay if you don't know all the answers. What matters is being willing to talk about it. And that goes both ways. If someone shares something vulnerable with you, treat it with care. Like a fear, a boundary, a past experience, ask follow-up questions, make space, and check in. Boundaries especially can sometimes feel heavy or awkward to bring up, but they're not a sign that something's wrong. They're actually a sign of self-awareness and trust. Instead of seeing a boundary as a limitation, try to reframe it as an opportunity. It's a window into your partner's inner world. It's a way to understand what makes them feel safe, what they've been through, or what makes intimacy feel affirming for them. That kind of understanding deepens connection and builds trust and makes everything feel better and more grounded. So whether you're brand new to queer relationships or just working on speaking up more, remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to share honestly and listen deeply. So moving on to queer dating. Dating while newly out or exploring queerness can be exciting, overwhelming, and a little intimidating, sometimes all at the same time. But before we even start thinking about who we want to date, it's important to get to know yourself first. That might mean asking yourself what kind of connection you're looking for: romantic, sexual, emotional, something casual, or something long-term. It can look like learning what kinds of people or dynamics tend to energize you versus drain you, and figuring out how you want to feel in a relationship, not just what type of person you're looking for. If you don't have a sense of what you want or what you need, it's easy to jump into a relationship that isn't actually a good fit, just because you're eager to start or feel like you should be dating. But dating isn't about checking a box. It's about building connection with someone who helps you grow and makes life feel better. Once you have a clearer sense of your desires, it helps to put yourself into spaces where people with similar values, identities, or experiences might be. That could be queer community events, a support group, a workshop just like this, or even online spaces where people are more intentional about connecting. One thing I really want to emphasize is you don't have to rush. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of finally getting to date as your full self, especially if it feels like you've been waiting a long time. But that excitement can sometimes push us into situations that don't actually feel good or grounded. So ask yourself, does this connection bring me joy? Does it feel aligned with who I am and how I want to be treated? Or am I just trying to make something work because I want something to work? You deserve relationships that meet you where you are, that give you room to grow, and that leave you feeling more confident and seen, not more confused or anxious. So let's get to the fun part. Let's talk about some toys. Queer pleasure does not follow a roadmap. It doesn't follow one size fits all model either, and neither do toys. They're tools to help you explore what feels good, and a lot of it comes down to personal preference. You don't need to know everything before you start. You just need a little curiosity and a willingness to try what feels right for you. So let's start with dildos. Walking into a shop and seeing a wall of dildos can definitely feel overwhelming at first. There's different sizes, shapes, colors, and textures, and it can be a lot. But the important thing to remember is that there's no right one to choose. It's all about what feels like it would be comfortable, exciting, or affirming for you. So take your time to look at each one as its own thing and ask yourself, does this feel approachable? Does the size feel manageable? What kind of sensation am I curious about? Some dildos also have some cool design features that can make the process a little bit easier to choose. So we have some with built-in ridges at the base, usually where the suction cup would be. And this helps to reduce pressure on the pelvic bone during use, while also increasing sensation for the wearer. So you can see here, like this one, has ridges on the end instead of a suction cup base. So instead of pressing up against there when you're thrusting, you're going to be rubbing up against here, which is way more comfortable and gives you a little bit of extra sensation as well. Others also have a really pronounced curve, which can make it easier to hit the G-spot or the P-spot, depending on your body. So you can see here, like this one, it's got a really good curve to it, makes it really easy to just latch onto one of those spots. Some are vibrating or bullet adaptable as well. So they either already bullet, or they already vibrate, or they have a little slot that you can insert a bullet. So you get the structure of a dildo with the extra stimulation of vibration. If you're using a dildo with an extra bullet to vibrate, you can also use that toy separately as a regular external toy too. So it's kind of two toys put in one. So you can see it's the same one here, has a little slot that you can insert a bullet into and makes it vibrate. On the other hand, dildos with a suction cup base can be attached to surfaces or to other dildos. So that means that you can attach two dildos with suction cup bases to each other and create a double-ended dildo. So there's lots of room for creativity and play. So you can see here, two with suction cup bases, you can attach them to each other and they stick together and it creates that double-ended dildo. Okay. And then next we're going to talk about bumpers. If you're wearing a dildo with a suction cup base, the bumpers can be a total game changer. They're soft, flexible silicone pads that go between the base of the dildo and the harness in your body to add extra cushion and extra sensation for the wearer. They work by taking pressure off of the pelvic bone to make thrusting way more comfortable. It's a super beginner-friendly addition and just makes the whole experience more comfortable. So this is the bumper here, so you would just attach it to the end of the dildo, so instead of bumping up against this, you're bumping up against this, which is really soft and comfortable and gives you a little bit more sensation as well. So now let's talk about some harnesses. There's a bunch of different styles, both in terms of function and aesthetic, and choosing one comes down to comfort, vibe, and how you want to use it. Let's talk about a few of our favorites now. We have the Spare Parts Jock Cover Underwear Harness. So this is one of the most versatile and beginner-friendly harnesses. It also has 3 pockets, so you can insert a bullet or other vibrator to give sensation to the wearer while they're using the dildo. It's got a super thoughtful design and it works well with a lot of bodies. So you can see here, that's this one. It has Velcro waistband, so it really works with a lot of sizes. These bands are also adjustable, and then it has the pocket here that has the ability to put a bullet in there. So that's a great one. Next, we have the spare parts tomboy harness. So this one looks and feels like soft, sporty underwear, and it's super comfortable with a wide waistband for support. So it's great for people who want comfort, stretch, and a secure fit. So that's this one here. You can see it pretty much just looks like a pair of underwear with the addition of the O-ring opening. So that's a great one, really nice and comfortable. And next we have this strap-on Unique Me double harness. So this one's really cool because it has 2 O-ring openings. So you can use 2 dildos, or you can insert a double-ended dildo into the lower ring. That way both people can be penetrated while still having the structure and support of a harness. It's a little bit more advanced, but can be a lot of fun to experiment with. So that's this one here. You can see it's got 2 O-ring openings, so you can either put 2 dildos in there, or you can use this bottom one to insert a double-ended dildo. So the person wearing it is being penetrated, and their partner is also being penetrated at the same time. Next one we're going to talk about is the Cookie Leather Stallion harness. So if you're looking for a sexier look, this one's really great. It's handmade with soft, buttery leather, and it's more of a classic harness style. So functionally, it's going to be a little bit more basic than the others, but it's very hot and it's still super effective for play. So that's this one that we have here. It's really nice, very hot, very sexy. So love that one too. Choosing a harness is kind of like choosing lingerie. It's part comfort, part style, and part function. You're allowed to choose what makes you feel powerful and good in your body. Then the last toy we're going to talk about is going to be strapless strap-ons. So these are a little bit more advanced, but they can be so fun. Strapless strap-ons are designed so that one partner wears a bulb or dildo internally, and the rest of the toy extends outwards to penetrate their partner. There's no harness needed, so it gives a more raw body-to-body feeling. But because of that, they do require a bit more control and stamina, so if you're new, it's okay to take your time and build up comfort first. You can also use it with the Strap-On Me Unique Double Harness if you need that extra support. Some models vibrate and some have bullet adaptability, so you can still customize the sensation. These toys are great for mutual pleasure, especially if you want to experience giving and receiving at the same time. So I've got 2 here. This one is gonna already vibrate, so it comes like that. One person wears the bulb internally and then got the dildo extending outwards. And then this one, really similar, except for it has bullet adaptability, so you can put bullet right there, and great toy. So the bottom line is, there's no right toy to start with. It's all about what feels right for you. You can mix, match, play around, and change your mind later. These tools aren't about performance. They're about exploration, pleasure, and possibility. Take your time, ask questions, and touch the toys. And trust that your pleasure is worth the curiosity. Okay, now let's talk about just a few things that I want to leave everyone with. Trying new things, whether it's dating, toys, or intimacy, can feel messy, awkward, and vulnerable. And that's all okay. Not every first time will be magical. Sometimes it's weird or funny or doesn't quite work. And that doesn't mean you failed. It means you're trying, and that's a win. Let go of the idea that you have to know everything or be amazing right away. Give yourself room to play, laugh, ask questions, and take breaks. That's part of queer joy too. Your queer journey is yours. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. You're allowed to explore, to change your mind, to start over, and to try new things. Whether you're just starting out or finding ways to connect to your identity, you belong here and you belong in this community. Thanks so much for being here, and happy Pride. Can answer any questions that anybody has. Let's see how it's going on here. Thanks to everyone on the live that joined. Hello. If there's any questions, either on the live or in store, I can answer those. And if not, I can move on to the discount code. The discount code is going to last from today at 4:30 until Thursday, 6/12 at midnight. So make sure to use it by then. Let's make sure there's nothing on there. The code is Pride25. So that is that. Thanks everybody for coming. I appreciate it. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day, and happy Pride again. Woo!